Look at what the fuck you do. I have pictures of you littering. Police don't care on private property.
That's because the crime you're involved in.
So if you would just stop littering.
That's because the crime you're involved in. That's fucker. That's because attempted murder.
Sure. Well, file charges.
Get the fuck off my property.
This isn't your property.
Yeah, that is my property.
No, it's not.
Yeah,
this
it is.
Community property.
This is my property, that's my car.
It is not.
Yeah, and you're defacing my car.
Read the CC&Rs.
Okay, so what you're gonna see here is on 8/5/2019, me going out to Thousand Oaks to meet with witness and therapist Brittany Henderson, who has now observed these mass attacks all the way from Sherman Oaks to Camarillo, all across California, at every single public location we've been at. The LAPD, the police worldwide, the police parking lots, all which have cars backwards in twos, or down in Thousand Oaks, there's black pickups all over the entire city backwards, and in the Thousand Oaks sheriff and police station, there's black pickups in twos and backwards and things like that, with all the other hidden messages and tactics, all directed at me. What you're gonna see is that me leaving Los Angeles County, going out to Ventura County, which this is worldwide, the continual things over and over, all day and night, 24/7, done to me, starting at 5 years old, with the police and government, some kind of personal vendetta. His kind can't exist, and we're gonna hunt him and kill him with every resource known to man. Billions of government dollars since 5 years old to have me hunted, killed, eradicated, incarcerated for life. You name it. And what you're gonna see is not only I attached a short clip from Greg Koenig, one of the people paid off by the LAPD to hunt me and have me killed, and you're gonna see a short clip of him cramming things in my car, like wheels and exhaust pipes and things like this. Now, what I want you to understand is this isn't a one-time incident from some loony, crazy neighbor that happens to be friends with a cop or something. It goes from person to person all day and night, 24/7, since 5 years old. People like Brian Weaver sent after me, and Tom Farley sent after me in 8th grade, right? At A. Wright Middle School. Then it goes to high school. Teachers in high school, like Mr. Quigley, telling me that he wants me to punch Paul Shapiro, a kid kind of bullying me, and I say no, right? Setup after setup attempt and frame job to exterminate me, no matter what it takes, and with full police and government support. So after you see the flat-out direct evidence of what's been going on, or I should say the direct evidence of Greg Koenig cramming things in my car, telling me that this isn't my property that I own, telling me that my car's not my car, things like that. You'll also notice that Greg is stating that there's an investigation and he's working with the police. Well, last I checked, people that work with the police don't follow you around trying to bash you in the skull with crowbars. Or if they are, the police are involved in something highly illegal to have you killed. In other words, the police are being paid off to have you killed, someone's putting a hit on you, and they're paying off cops to do it or something like that. Okay, now, this isn't just one bad cop, and it's just not one loony psycho neighbor that then shifts and babbles to weird things about me taking his wife or girlfriend, or things I don't even know who his wife or girlfriend is, and jumping from person to person like that. This is a strategic operation. Now, the point I'm making well, you're going to see Greg Koenig cramming things in my car, these car defacings, as well as the personal attacks against me, worldwide, have gone on in this location alone for 20 years. This location alone, all day and night, 24/7. And you'll have to excuse the cat; she's a little needy. And so, so the point I'm making is that I have literally archives, and this is Sylvia. She gets a little jealous when I get on camera. I literally have archives for 20 years of car defacings, pretty much like on a daily or weekly basis. Everyday spit on car, car top slashings on multiple cars, 7 tire slashings. They'll cram like thousands of cards at a time in every crack in the car because they don't want me telling anyone what they're doing to my life. They have full LAPD police government support, and you name it. And the point I'm making is I'm sort of feeding you a little taster of the direct evidence with Greg Koenig, but it's endless. Thing after thing on a daily basis done to my cars, and more importantly, on the streets, schizophrenic ideas of reference. We're going to try to send you messages to make it appear that you suffer from ideas of reference, a type of schizophrenia, to make me look crazy, mentally ill, and eradicate me, clearly designed by people with psychology degrees. Example, just walking outside right now, fire truck 94 came out with sirens, a huge fire truck. He was there for less than 10 minutes for some reason, which was a little strange. As I looked on the street and got video, 2 gray Civics, one in front of the other, 2 VWs, one in front and one behind my car, and a third one behind that. In front of that, a blue Prius and a black Prius across from each other. And this is a mellow day. Usually there's a lot more of these pairs and groups. The other day I went out to take a walk and they pulled up 9 black Mercedes, most of them 300Es. The car that my father paid off the LAPD to put bullet holes in his 300E Mercedes and tell the world that I tried to kill or scare him or something like that. These types of endless frame job operations. So what you're seeing here is the judicial system plays stupid. We don't know what's going on. You're crazy. But they refuse to look at what's in front of them. That's pretty strange. You're going to see, once again, me going out to Thousand Oaks and walking out to my car, talking into my camera, what's being done to my life, and these masked people hunting me down to have me killed or eradicated with worldwide support. And you're going to see, as I go into my car, someone has, again, wedged something in the right front tire, so that when I leave, the car goes thud, thud, thud. But this time, it's not falling out. Now, there's other things going on, too. For example, at one point, this is all this last few weeks or month, people were putting bags of carrots as I walk out, a bag of a carrot. My mother used to, when I went to A. Wright High School, put vinegar and carrots in a bag in my little lunch bag. They're putting little shopping cart or like Target, because they don't like Kevin Perlman Target, right? Talking about what's being done to my life. So they're putting that on the ground before I walk out of my house. 2 shirts, a black and red shirt someone threw kind of by the pool, and someone across here put a gold shirt on the ground by Deborah Woolman, which is a court reporter who has purchased the property across from me, adjoining wall, who works in Van Nuys Courthouse 101, where they wanted to get me in so bad while having audio surveillance equipment in her house to try to get anything they can use against me. But more important than that, she's never lived in the house for these 20 years, and nobody's ever lived in the house. So when I was looking at the court docket of the arrest, I noticed her name and I noticed the address associated. I went, wait, isn't that strange? It took them 20 years to try to set me up and frame me for no reason at all. Not that there could be a reason. And they fabricated all these false charges, or they reversed of things done to me that I reported to the police, then arresting me. Then I find out the court reporter, who's never lived in her property, nor has she sublet it out to anyone, is clearly involved in illegal police operations to try to set someone up, make them look crazy, and eradicate them. Okay, so putting a gold shirt there. Now, as I walk out the gate, there's a black, and that was probably the night before. As I walk out the gate, there's a black shirt about football over the fire hydrant where they're trying to cover up the things they were telling my brother to do. So they were telling my brother when I was 16 or 14, I think, to go out and go on what he called runs to try to get people to chase them and do all these freaky things and then go, look, poor us, whatever. The same things he was doing to me with his friends and my friends my entire life, and then try to turn around with the police and world saying it's me. But yet, no one's questioning the legitimacy of his argument, especially when it's worldwide, and I have counter arguments with proof. I'm not allowed to tell anyone or I'm dead, especially by the police. Okay? Well, if the police are telling me that I'm not allowed to tell anyone any aspect of my life, and I don't have the First Amendment freedom of speech to talk to anyone, even a girl on a date, about my private life or things that were done to me are still going on, and that girl comes after me or that person comes after me saying you don't talk or we kill you, as I have endless death threats on video, on all sorts of subtle levels to direct levels, you get the idea. Then those people are trying to cover up a mass murder operation and crime. And this murder operation and crime is now 42 years, while they're trying to get me to give coerced false confessions that I did all these things, while my father is doing things like putting bullet holes in his 300E Mercedes and then coming after me for it, and endless slews of other things. My father's making up lies that I stole $10,000 from him because he didn't like me building cars and car engines at 16. Okay, getting to the final point. When I was 16 and taught myself how to build cars, my father got me a job at a Mercedes repair place called Star Auto House Mercedes, down, I believe, on Reseda and by Oxnard somewhere. By the owner, his name was Gabby Angle. Now, little did I know back then that my father was using names as schizophrenia tactics to try to flip me out and make me look crazy. So Gabby Angle, a guy that talks and has an angle, right, like a con man. Okay, so one of the things they did when I worked at Star Auto House Mercedes at 16 was they said, we want you, Kevin, we want you to drive Chuck Norris's car home to him. We're done fixing the car. Okay, well, the thing is that I started to drive the car home, and I noticed the mechanic that threw a wrench at me loosened the lug nuts, right? So he loosened the lug nuts on the car as I was supposed to drive Chuck Norris's car home to him. Was it really Chuck Norris's car? I have a feeling not, and the reason I say that is because they try to take things out of movies to flip me out, to make me look crazy, and make me look like I'm a violent paranoid schizo, which the police have stated that I'm a violent paranoid schizo for finding out these stalking groups are hunting me, which is proven way beyond any reasonable doubt, and 15 terabytes of information. The point I'm making is that, so what they do is they say, Kevin, watch this movie, and then they try to reenact scenes or say things from the movie to try to flip me out and make me look crazy. Then they tell me to drive Chuck Norris's car home. This is all the way back at 16. Chuck Norris's car home, and then loosen the lug nuts. And then to cover up these things, what they do is they say Kevin's crazy and he loosened the lug nuts, or things like this, right? Okay, so now what you're going to see is I go out, I'm walking out to my car to drive out to Thousand Oaks, and I get in the car Oh, the first thing I noticed is they put a football shirt over the fire hydrant because my brother is telling me that he and his friends ran a VW onto a fire hydrant, and then he's telling the world that I did it. Okay? Seem a little strange. This is just one of thousands and thousands and thousands of things like this starting at 5 years old. Okay? So now, hence, when I walk out of my house just now, there's a VW in front, there's a VW in back, and there's a VW behind surrounding my car that they loosened the linkage on. And they don't want me telling anyone that it's my brother supposedly going out and doing these things. But what allegiance do they have to my brother, especially 40 years or 30 years later, on something that is completely hearsay to begin with? There's no actual event, right? My brother says it, and then worldwide groups hunt me down to have me killed over it. Hence, the football shirt on the fire hydrant, hinting about Damon Riggins, a football player in high school, trying to run around, follow me around, telling the world I'm a white supremacist, and this whole white supremacist thing starts at 8 years old or something like that at Sunny Skies Day Camp, which turned into a school where I kissed a black girl. That's it. I kissed a black girl. Damon Riggins is a black football player. Mass groups with Damon Riggins since then have been hunting me down to try to have me killed, which is very strange, because same with Tom Farley and Paul Humphrey, Brian Weaver, Brian Longbottom, starting at 5 years old. Now, you understand that they loosen the linkage, or I don't know if they got under the car and loosened the linkage because there's a guy that builds his Honda cars right out there and lifts the engine out on the public street. Okay, so he loosens the linkage, or he crams something in the rotor, because they do this over and over, and it's not a one-time random event, and generally it's very rare that linkage breaks like this, and you'll see why in the video. And not only that, so these are police cover-up operations, okay? So not only that, this has been done several times to this car, only at this one location, nowhere else. But not only that, my alarm went off once at this location. I checked the DVR video. My alarm went off as a couple walked by my car. Once, only once. Lady comes out, puts a note, fix your fucking alarm, on the car. Then the next day I come out to take a walk, and my car alarm goes off twice while I'm in the vicinity of it. And that's it. And all of a sudden this broken alarm fixes itself, and it doesn't happen in any other location, the same location where this fire hydrant is or close to it. Now, more importantly, yesterday, the day after, coming out of my house, the police are waiting by the gate where I walk out. And they don't say anything, and they don't engage, and they don't do anything, but they're waiting right where I walk out of my house. And this has happened twice with a guy that's following me around, and he has an auxiliary plate cover instead of having a real license plate. And this guy showed up after I was on eBay typing, looking for an auxiliary card, and following me around, working with the police and government and the Warner Center Met complex here, stalking and hunting me in these DNC and LAPD and FBI neighborhood murder / watch groups, which aren't anything of legality. They're just, I don't like this person, hunt him down with every resource on the planet, torture and kill him. They have nothing to do with concerned individuals in a neighborhood. They're personal murder operations, if you understand what I'm coming from. They start at 5 years old. So he's following me around, and I've watched him this entire week, following me from place to place, waiting for me. The point is that we're now seeing the VWs out in front of my house. Do you think that's because I have guilt, or do you think that that's because you don't talk or we kill you, right? Because who are these people? I don't know these people. So how are they getting this fiction, and why is there no direct conversation about the fiction? Because the event either didn't occur or someone else did it, and they all damn well know it, and their real agenda is hunting down and killing his kind, or the Jew, or something like that. It's not about anything else. But most importantly, this is fully supported by the police, the government, not just this city, every city in the world, and it starts at 5 years old, from California to Southern Oregon State College, the University of Colorado, back here. Every person that has befriended me had motives to hunt me down and incarcerate me for life, not for any reason, not that there could be any reason, other than hate, rage, you're different, and your kind needs to die. And that's it. So what you're going to see is me walking out of my house to go to an appointment and talking to the camera about the things being done, and you're going to watch the things being done as they sabotage the linkage, and that's actually directly linked to them loosening lug nuts on cars to take Mercedes home to supposedly to Chuck Norris, while they're sending me hidden messages from Chuck Norris movies, which I wasn't picking up on. My father behind this whole thing, paying off police to have me killed and things like this, or eradicated out of his hate and rage and jealousy or whatever, I can't tell you. And that's what you're going to see. Now, in this incident, it's circumstantial. There's no direct proof of someone doing something to the wheel, but it's done over and over, and that's why I'm adding the Greg Koenig taster of these weekly events for 20 years at this location alone, so you can understand that this is a weekly or daily reoccurring thing to hunt down, stalk, torture, and kill me since 5 years old. And they're so desperate to cover up the entire thing that killing me or eradicating me is what they're going to do no matter what it takes. And remember, most importantly, the police aren't concerned with right or wrong. They're concerned with hunting down and killing the guy who figured out what was going on at 29 years old, that he was being hunted for eradication in such a way that makes him look like he's a public nuisance or out of control monster or something like this. Okay, so here it is.
We're headed out to Thousand Oaks to meet with Brittany, just videoing. So when I walk out to my car, we get whatever happens on video. Probably hidden messages, types of things left for me. And of course a car backwards here. Someone leaving, parking a car backwards so I can see it. You'll notice that everything's pretty much forwards. But by the gate where I walk by here, in my complex, right? So they're leaving little hidden messages here because they know I walk out of my car here, right? Okay, you'll notice the grouping of vans. Also, this lady hanging a U-turn behind me. Someone's put a shirt here. Let's see what it says. Football. Right, and they, on some of the other day videos, there were shirts. They were leaving shirts all over the complex for me to see. G-Light, football, whatever. So, they're mad because they're working all these weird football, how I hate football and football players, and football players need to die, and this and that and the other thing, right? Okay, so I think this is the same girl that just hung a U-turn here. Okay, so we're gonna fire up the car. We're just someone just pulled there, a black Toyota, and then they hung a U-turn right here as I was walking across the street. I think it might be that same lady. So I'm just kind of documenting it. Someone looks like they're at the end of the cul-de-sac, kind of waiting with their lights on. Might be something, might not. That shirt's definitely intentional, just like the Target thing, Target bag, and the car backwards. We got into our car because, or I wouldn't even be out here because it's street cleaning on this side of the street today. There's someone walking this way. It looks like they might be walking a dog, so make sure we point the camera that direction. Crossing over here, and usually there's groups of dog walkers that follow me out. So, okay.
Black view for your safe driving.
Okay, now she's going into my place, so you know it's one of the people. You know who? They're obviously, it's, how do you say it? She's obviously with the group of people that are in my complex doing these things. So, okay, so I'm about to leave. Remember, they usually have groupings of cars. Come out when I walk out to my car. White guy at the end of the cul-de-sac, he's now leaving. It looks like he's in a Camaro, black and white Camaro. Now they use Camaros, and Damon Reagan's, no, he's not in a Camaro. He's in a Charger or something, Dodge Charger or something. Daytona Charger. Yeah, Dodge Charger. Oh, and look at that. He just happens to be timed with a second black and white Dodge Charger. I mean, what are the chances, right? Are they even going the same way? No. Well, I can't tell. Right? So you get the idea. Now he was waiting down. They're also, look at the lady in black and white, right? So she's wearing black and white like the cars. And you saw that the Charger was waiting at the end of the cul-de-sac down there, timing it, right? He's timing, when's this other guy gonna come by? When can I meet up with him? That type of thing, right? Now we have the girl that's been here since I walked out of my house, sporting around her dog, wearing black and white clothing. You know, they're all sort of coordinating these things together like usual, right? So anyway, so I told you when I started pointing the camera, I walked out that that car may or may not be, because he looked a little suspicious at the very end, kind of waiting with the lights on for no reason, right? And he was timing it to meet up with the other guy, but the question is, how did they know when I was gonna walk out of my house? That type of thing, right? And so they wait, they watch me on camera. There's something weird done to my front wheel's thudding. So let's see, did they slash another tire? Because they slashed so many tires. Now that's why we video everything, because these people are kind of out and they're waiting. There's nothing. It looks like someone probably crammed something in the wheel, like they do. And they did it another time, I think I was parked there. They cram it in the wheel things by the discs. So I'm just gonna leave this recording because my tire's thudding, but it's not flat. There's a girl waiting for me. In the black and white. So the two Chargers. Right? She's kind of looking at me, pretending she's just walking the dog, but it's all coordinated. The neighborhood, here's the second black and white, right? It's all coordinated. Like, we did this to the guy's car, watch him, try to get a reaction. Okay, now something's kind of thudding. They crammed something. And I can hear it as the tire's rotating. Sounds like someone threw a bottle or something under there and it got caught. Like, that's my guess. Okay, there's a black guy and a white Prius. Oh, he's picking up a girl. Okay, so something's... They got under the car and they put a bottle or something by the wheel or tire. They've done this before too. They've done it tons of times. Now here's the lady waiting for me. We're just gonna, hopefully there's a parking space right here. Right? It's... want to get under the car, see what they've done. And make sure I have battery and memory card. Okay, I don't see anything under the car, but the wheel's doing like a clunking. Now Greg Koenig was known for cramming things in the wheel before, but whatever's in here seems wedged in really good. Now we got some green and blacks coming out. Okay, so we have some of the green and blacks coming out. Looks like some more green and blacks. Okay, so notice the green and black here. And I think there's a jogger. Well, that's more of a blue and black. Okay, so whatever they've crammed in the wheel seems pretty... Usually whatever it is falls out. Now there's someone coming behind me working on some... Oh, they're parking in the spot the guy just left in a gray... it's a gray Honda. Okay, so... Right. Okay, it's less the more I drive showing that it seems like something was crammed in here, if that makes sense. Well, I'm not sure. Okay, now we got two cars backwards here, right? Someone looks like they're waiting here in the, whatever you want to call it, the VW. Okay, so notice the two cars together backwards in pairs of twos. We have the two white Chargers. I'm not sure what's going on with the front end right now. I know they crammed something in the underneath because it was perfectly fine when I parked it, which was about a week ago, a little less. And all of a sudden you can feel when it's driving a clunk and a clunk and a clunk, and you can tell how they definitely jammed it in a spot where it's stuck. And they've done this before too, and then I drive and it starts doing that and then it goes away. Also around that corner there kept triggering the alarm over and over, so someone seems to have the alarm frequency, or were what do I want to say? The alarm frequency, or were like bumping up against the car to set off the alarm and things like that, right? Okay, so anyways, clearly something's wedged, unless some of the linkage is loose. But I don't know. Unless someone got under and loosened some linkage, that's also possible. Let's kind of drive a little, which probably isn't the best idea, and see what happens. We also have a blue Explorer. Yesterday we had a white Explorer on the other side of the street. Okay, so when I'm going slow like this, right now it's not doing it, but now it is when I slow down. Also remember the football thing, which is like some kind of threat message or something, right? Okay, it's doing it less now, which is interesting. But when I slow, okay, we also have another envoy thing, similar, right? I can tell something's wedged in here. Okay, so my guess is someone either got under the car loosening something, or they cram something in a spot where you're gonna have to take it to a mechanic. But at certain speeds, like this is fine, but when I get really slow, it does it, and when I get fast, it doesn't. And that usually if it's not doing it fast, it means it's something wedged in there, because so, but how did the car go from perfectly normal like this? That's the question. Okay, it looks like they pulled up a red Camaro on this side. Or is that a Firebird? I can't tell, whatever. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna go to the other side where my other car's parked, see if they didn't make sure that car's okay. Okay, we're going out to the car to go get some food. I think Panda Express, and then coming back. I'm sure everyone who's watching these, as tedious as it is, knows the drill. Well, what time is it? Hold on a sec. It's 8:12 p.m. And we're gonna see probably cars come out and probably people doing hidden messages and things like that on the way. The usual that's been going on for 20 years here alone. Okay, so remember the other day Dave crammed something in the wheel over here, and then right as we come out by the fire hydrant, cramming things in the wheel to cover up my brother's crime spree. Now notice, remember yesterday, there was a car here backwards, now there's a truck backwards over here, right? And everything else is forwards, showing that they're trying to provoke me as I walk by the gate out of my house. Right. Okay, so everything else is forwards. And then we have a black truck here backwards, and there was a car here backwards. Remember, that car was black too, and the groupings of cars by the fire hydrant last night all pulled up black, with the black girl pulling out from the Met and wanting to park where I parked in front of me and walk out of her car in hopes she could get a reaction. Right? Other things in the last month, they put a bag of carrots on the ground, which my mother used to give me carrots in a bag with vinegar in middle school, like an A right. Things like that to try, I believe, to try to trigger me into reactions. Oh, hello? And so, you get the idea. Interesting that there's a cop car right here where I'm walking out. Ooh, better quickly change my battery. Okay, not a good time to have to change my battery because we see cop cars coming out of my house. Are they here to document what's going on in the street? I highly doubt it. I think they're intimidation tactics from the cops, kind of waiting by my gate. Because why aren't they waiting by this guy's gate or that guy's gate or whatever, right? Okay, so let's be prepared for something strange from them to happen. Okay, right now, these two cars are forwards. All three are forwards. The cars in there, which you can't see from here, are all forwards by the gate. I have a feeling some of these are backwards right here. There's a no plater in the corner there. Okay. So we will keep everything rolling because even though the cops were waiting for me, the cops are waiting for, I should say, by my gates. Okay, let's fire everything up. The cops are waiting for... They chose to pick the spot by my gate. Yeah, let's get this DVR recording. And so that's kind of important out of like the location. Okay, so wait. So now, okay, look. So this guy instantly pulls up. He's pulling backwards. Okay, so they do this a lot. There's cop presence. We're watching you. Then comes the groups of people. We're gonna provoke you and try to trigger you now that we've scared you. And this happens over and over and over and things like that, right? So now, what normally happens when we see police presence like that is the attacks. Ooh, I think it was already on. Oh, it shouldn't matter. The attacks get greater because there's police presence. Does that make sense? So normally what happens is the police show up and people go, fuck, you know, the police are involved. So we all need to
behave and stop hunting down and trying to kill Kevin people or Kevin Perlman, right? Now, just to note, the lights are on in his car. Like, they haven't just parked. They've parked. Looks like he's parking, leaving the lights on. Okay, so while everything looks right now on the street fairly normal, and the cops for some reason chose to wait by my gate, which is interesting, if they're on my side, then how come they verbally haven't admitted to the situation, saying, Kevin, we know what's going on, and we're on your side, and we're going to do whatever it takes to put a stop, not arrest me and tell me I don't talk and things like that, right? Okay, so okay, so his lights went off. That was the lights on the timer, but he did show up. Interesting timing. He did show up parking backwards. So now when we leave, the question is, if the cops have instantly left, then they're probably here to sort of intimidate me. Does that make sense? Now we have the cars coming out. My windows are tinted and it's dark, so I can't really see very well. What's coming, what's going. Civics going in. A Honda's coming out. A Honda Altima. They use the Altimas a lot. This person's coming out of the office complex here, which is like a Time Warner complex. Okay, now also I just want to note, you notice even though I now have a new taste of resentment towards the judicial system who's been hunting me for 42 years, now that I understand what's going on, you will notice that I was extremely nice to the cop. I said hello and didn't say anything, didn't bark at him, didn't do this, didn't do that. Which is how most people normally are. If you're a boss at a company or an employee at a company, you don't sit there attacking people at the company because you don't like them. You stay professional and mind your own business and do your job. Okay, so now remember, we've had someone screw up the linkage in my car, and now the cops are out kind of waiting by my gate. Are they going to try to cover it up? Okay, that's important, right? Because if I've gone to them for 7 tire slashings and every one they basically said I'm imagining it, you get the idea. Okay, so this is just a quick side note. Tonight I went out to take a walk, and they've, like I said before, they've ramped up insane amounts of VWs all around the local area in twos, and especially on my street surrounding my car, which was parked by the fire hydrant, where they put the football shirt on, trying to cover up the things my brother was involved in, telling me that he and his friends launched a VW onto a fire hydrant, I believe with all sorts of sexual references while he's running around with his urology degree. That he wants to pop my bladder by intentionally popping their water bed, things like this, whatever. Quickly, when I was out taking a walk, there was a homeless lady, which I didn't notice before, and a cart where the cops went to the cart. Now the question is, are the cops following this lady around, this homeless lady who has enough problems with living out of a cart, or is it strategically directed at me in a kind of like a dual purpose? We're putting her by the gate where Kevin walks out to his car, and we're sabotaging his car, and we're doing all these things, trying to figure out ways to make it look like I go after homeless people or things like this. I can't tell you. What I can tell you is, tonight, walking down the street, she kind of flipped her lid at me, saying that I'm a psychotic and I try to force food on people. Okay, and I'm not saying anything like really bad about this person. I'm just saying, if she is crazy, then she's got enough to deal with, and psychopaths like Sean Dinsey trying to create a perfect world. But my belief, based on her behavior, is that she's an undercover. She's a detective posing as a homeless person, because what kind of homeless person gets mad at people for feeding the homeless? If you understand what I'm saying. And that all stems from the the subway on Topanga Canyon and Ventura Boulevard, for me going in a couple months ago and buying some Subway, and a homeless guy was there and he needed money, and I offered to buy him a sandwich, and the Subway shop got really mad at me saying, buy one, I want to buy a sandwich for this guy, so make him whatever he wants. And the Subway guy sort of tried to, we haven't gotten to it yet, blah, blah, blah. And after like 20 minutes of waiting around, I'm like, you know what, forget it, because I can't wait here all night, and they don't look like they're going to make the sandwich. Okay, now, the question that should go through your mind here is why. I can't tell you if this lady's crazy or not, this homeless lady, but remember, crazy is not a crime. It's not a crime to be crazy. It's not even a crime to elevate your voice. It is a crime to commit a crime, and while this girl came off to me kind of as batshit crazy, what didn't really make sense was that she was telling me I'm a psychotic, and she was mad at me for feeding the homeless. The same things that Greg Wall were mad at me about, that I have put on the internet showing that Greg Wall was mad, and yes, it really did happen, because Greg Wall admits to it on the phone, on the internet, on YouTube, on our call, that I stopped Greg Wall, or my brother, from going after Greg Wall with a crowbar, and Greg Wall is mad at me for stopping my brother from going after him with a crowbar, showing that Greg Wall was working with my brother, and he's mad that he didn't get the reaction he wanted from me to try to make me look like a violent, paranoid, schizo, and a psychotic murderer. Right? Okay, so Greg Wall's mad at me for jumping in front of a crowbar for him. This lady's mad at me for trying to buy food for her, not her, but her fellow homeless people, whatever. The point I'm making is that if you're a homeless person, unless you're just totally flipped your lid, if you're a homeless person and you're saying that someone's trying to force food on you, for simply walking into a Subway and saying, yeah, buy one for them, there's a serious issue going on, and I put based on common sense, I put my 2 cents on she's a detective trying to set me up, waiting on the curb or the gate I walk out of my house, and the cops waiting for me to come out of my house just happen to be doing like a dual purpose, right? They have the detective here pretending to be a homeless person with a basket, and then they have the cops waiting for me to come out and come out at the same time. Okay? So that's just my common 2 cents based on what they've been doing to my life, and especially tonight, the mass VWs trying to cover up, once again, me figuring out that when my brother's running around saying that he and his friends put a VW on a fire hydrant, what they're really doing is saying, oh, Kevin Schizo, he did it, and he's blaming it on his brother, and if I were to put my 2 cents on that, it probably never even really happened, just like my father running around claiming that I put a bullet hole in his 300E Mercedes. Never really directly said, but by their guilts, just like the VWs, like 100,000 VWs per day following you around, saying that you did this, hinting you did this until you have to confess or they throw you in maximum security prison. You better confess or we're going to throw you in maximum security prison, which doesn't make much sense either, and then say you're crazy. You get the idea that all these things are strategic and the same, and so with that being said, it appears with everything you're saying, and then sabotaging my car last week, the wheel, again, and it seems to be a common theme with, if you take out the top convertible top slashings and the spit on the car and all the other things being done in thousands and thousands, they really focus on doing things to wheels. And just a side note, when I went out and I bought Villain wheels for my Mustang, they got mad because they think, according to them, with their little hidden threat messages, I guess I've supposedly committed a crime because they don't like the name of the wheels. So they had a group of people working with the police steal my Mustang and bring it down to South Central and steal the wheels. Interesting, right? Okay, so they got this big thing with wheels and they're hunting me down over, which is strange, with all the thousands and thousands of other tactics. They're trying to make me look crazy, gaslighting, gang stalking. But once again, this lady who is calling me a psychotic is angry that I'm feeding her friends. Okay, and to get to the point on that, Dincy is striving for complete perfection and trying to lock anyone in mental institutions or jail cells that might suffer from mental illness. So, the point I'm making is that the subway down there was mad at me for helping someone in need. Okay, do you understand what I'm saying? There's a guy, he can't afford to eat. If he doesn't eat, he starves. Kevin Perlman offers to buy him food. The neighborhood watch groups with Sean Dincy, Topanga LAPD, and these mass groups are running around trying to eradicate these people because they might or might not be crazy, which has nothing to do with crimes. It just has to do with creating a perfect society like 1940 Germany, Adolf Hitler. Okay, so that being said, these subway people are mad. They don't want me feeding starving people. And then so they make up this lie that I'm somehow forcing food on people. Right? Before it's cards, before I'm forcing cards on people, now I'm forcing food on people. Now, you got a homeless person that needs to eat, and they're mad at me for feeding their fellow homeless people. Do you think she's really a homeless person? Do you think she's a detective trying to trigger me into a reaction for arrest to make me look crazy or make it look like I go after homeless people? Because if now the latest is I'm being accused of simply saying to a subway employee who are working with Sean Dincy to kill imperfect people, yeah, buy them a sandwich too, then you know that all these things that are grouped together from people trying to set me up at the park to go after homeless people and make it look like I'm hunting and stalking homeless people or women in bathrooms, all these set of attempts that are on video showing I'm simply leaving my house and I'm being hunted, you can, by deductive reasoning, come to the conclusion that this person sitting on the curb is probably an undercover cop trying to set me up. If I'm being accused of forcing food on homeless people, then they're probably not really homeless, if you understand what I'm saying. Now, I'm not putting a 100% on that, but what I am saying is that my gut instinct, with all the things going on per hour directed at me, and not one person wanting to say hunting down and exterminating Kevin Perlman, trying to make him look like a violent paranoid schizo or a psychotic or someone that sees things that aren't there, which I've proven beyond any reasonable doubt, especially 15 terabytes of video, witness Brittany Henderson, therapist Brittany Henderson, all across California watching these mass mobbings from person to person. As I sit there and talk to her, you get the idea that common sense dictates that most likely, if they're exerting that much energy to silence me and try to incarcerate me for life, for turning 29 and finding out that they were hunting me since 5 years old with these setup and frame job operations, which they failed endlessly, that once again, they're going to go and dedicate that much energy to get a undercover cop sitting on the curb, trying to set me up and trigger me into reactions. Now, I'm not 100% on that, but it is pretty damn strange if homeless people are hunting you down for feeding the homeless, just like the black community has been hunting me down for 40 years for kissing a black girl at 8 years old, the same age as Sunny Skies Day Camp. Right? You see the pattern of freaky behaviors that we're mad at you for kissing a black girl, so we're going to turn the black community against you. We're mad at you for feeding the homeless, so we're going to hunt you down and turn the homeless against you. But I can't imagine a homeless person mad at someone for feeding other homeless people unless they've lost all their frickin' marbles and they just have no ability to rationally or logically think anymore. I'm not going down that road. I'm just explaining the situation that I think that if I'm walking out of my gate and every day there's cars and twos and all the other things as I walk out of the gate, and this is done everywhere I go with larger and larger groups per day with death threats, you don't talk or we kill you, then common sense pretty much dictates that most likely the cops are there to try to thug and intimidate me quiet. Even though I don't have proof of that, I'm just trying to state a fair argument, something that's never been done on my behalf in life. That something freaky doesn't make sense if the cops aren't mad about the mental illness operations. Does that make sense? If I walk out of my house, there's 6 white VWs together as I walk out the gate of my house, and then I walk down the street 100 feet, and there's 4 black Pathfinders together, and then I walk across the street, and there's 6 gray Camaros, and then I walk to my car, someone's done something to the wheel, and there's a shirt on the fire hydrant hinting about Damon Riggins, where the police are running around making up lies that I hate football players, and I somehow did something wrong to Damon Riggins in high school because he's black, justifying launching worldwide groups of black people to hunt me down and kill me for the last 40 years. Hello! I highly doubt it's about the one girl sitting by a basket of shit. It's definitely, if they're not concerned with all the other things, and we all know, they damn well know this is going on, this is gang stalking operations. If they're not concerned with that, then they're probably coming after, then it's probably directed at me, being that the people that walk up and talk to me mimic my social network sentences and things like that to try to trigger and provoke me. Right? Anyways, I'll kind of leave it there as a conclusion, but the entire point is that while there is a slight, minute possibility that the cops weren't there for me to try to scare, thug, intimidate me quiet, especially with all the VWs and my brother's crime spree that he's pinning on me, you can bet your ass that he's probably there for me, and being that there's a homeless person calling me psychotic for feeding other homeless people, says detective or undercover setup operation to try to trigger me and get reactions to set me up and make it look like I'm a violent paranoid schizo or a public nuisance or this or that. So that being said, here's the video, and most importantly, this is not a one-time thing when you see what's being done to the wheel. It's this with thousands of similar things done to my car over and over. Car top slashings, 7 car tire slashings, sometimes on 2 events, 2 tires slashed at the same exact time. Okay, you can't, there's no coincidence there. 2 tires slashed at the same exact time and done on 2 separate times. Okay, so this done for 20 years, these types of things done for 20 years, not just the car defacings and vandalisms, but the mental illness tactics surrounding all the events to try to make it look like I'm a violent paranoid schizo who flipped my lid to justify incarceration for life for no reason at all, but 5 years old, my family going, I don't like my child. That's it. And it's somehow going to the psychology community and up the ladder to the police government with billions of government dollars based on someone's hate and rage towards me. And that's it. It's not about anything else. Just I hate Kevin's guts. I want to hunt him down and exterminate him. And my final words, I just want to state for the record, even though I do believe that this lady is a cop trying to reverse psychology me and brainwash me and make me think I'm like her, even though they would be apples to orange comparisons and I'm nothing like her. My point is that if this lady who seems crazy sitting out by my gate, is not a cop trying to strategically set me up, and she is a crazy lady, then I do not feel that she needs to be. I do not feel she's violent, and I do not feel that she needs to be removed from society. And I don't want to turn into my oppressors, is the point I'm trying to make. People do have problems. There are crazy people out there. It doesn't mean you're a bad person. It doesn't mean that you should be locked in jail cells or mental institutions. It's usually the mass abusive groups that create these problems. Although I really do believe that this person is probably an undercover cop trying to set me up. But needless to say, for her protection, if she has flipped her lid, while calling saying that I'm a psychotic and trying to force food on people and weird freaky things like this, then it still doesn't mean she needs to be removed from society. It probably just means she needs kind, giving, caring, compassionate people to deal with her instead of following her around, abusing her, saying the homeless need to die and we want perfect communities with no type of imperfection, and if we even feel that you might have some kind of mental illness, no matter how minute, we're going to hunt you down and eradicate you and incarcerate you for life. So I just want to kind of note that, make that statement at the end of this video. If she really is someone that's flipped her lid, she doesn't deserve the same treatment that I've been getting since 5 years old. But like I said, I'm pretty sure it's a staged operation with people playing their little projection games and trying to brainwash me and make me think that I'm somehow like her and I'm somehow doing these types of things to people, and I'm, according to Dincy, forcing cars on people and forcing myself on people and raping women and stealing cars, and I'm a criminal and this and that and blah blah blah. Whatever. I believe, like I just said, this is another setup operation. Normally it's this community trying to get me to go after the homeless and me saying get the fuck away from me. I'm not going to pretend I'm some righteous Adolf Hitler murderer and try to be like you to get attention and power. But my point is, for her protection, if she were to be a crazy bum, it's not really my concern. She hasn't wronged me in such a way that, how do you state it? That I feel that she needs to be in jail. Like, she hasn't come after me chopping off arms and legs and things like this. She just seems like a scatterbrained, crazy person, but like I said before, I believe she's really an undercover cop trying to set me up and make it look like I'm the problem, like all the other endless situations where I'm minding my own business, trying to live my life, and these things keep happening in mass groups with the you don't talk or we kill you or lock you away for finding out that they won't leave me alone, and they're doing these things with cops running around saying, we're watching you, Perlman, to find out that this is the entire problem where they're following me around since 5 years old. We're watching you, we're dictating your life, if you put salt on your food, we're going to hunt you down and kill you, and you don't say anything or it's going to get a lot worse. With the death threats, you don't talk or we'll kill you, and things like that. And some of these death threats even with police officers. Okay, so now that's it.